The following is a review for critical, analytical, and educational purposes only, and is protected under Article 17 and 107 in the United States Fair Use Code. This video is not an infringement on copyright. Please enjoy the video.
Maleficent has been regarded as one of the best animated villains of all time. She was an irredeemable sorceress who was just pure evil just for the hell of it. She was so evil that she cursed an innocent child with death just because she did not get invited to a party. She is so powerful that she can conjure up spells that would put Voldemort in his place. She can transform into a freaking dragon, and she loves being evil so much that she has a pet crow, not for any true purpose but just so it can complete the villainous look. And having Angelina Jolie play Maleficent in a live action darker reimagining of the fairy tale, it should be a match made in heaven. This movie, however, terrible. Completely and utterly terrible. In fact, in terms of big budget movies, I would be shocked if this did not make my top 10 worst for the year. However, it's kind of hard to talk about how bad this movie is without talking about what happens in the movie. I got told off in my Amazing Spider-Man 2 review for not backing up my points, even though it's meant to be a spoiler-free review. I can't do anything right, apparently, so there will be minor spoilers in this review, but because this movie is loosely based from a 60-year-old cartoon as well as a centuries-old fairy tale, I don't think spoilers are that much of a problem, but still, you have been warned. The big problem with this movie is that the Maleficent that I described in the opening of this review is nowhere to be seen in this movie. The Maleficent in this terribly unfocused origin story used to be a pixie girl with dragon wings who gets scorned by a man who becomes king, so Maleficent gets her own back by putting a sleeping curse on his daughter. Yeah, that's the hook of the story. Maleficent gets upset because a man she barely shared any screen time or emotional connection with chopped off her dragon wings in order to claim the throne. And on that note, the rape and female genital mutilation metaphor apparent in that plot point feels pretty damn depraved. Disney have spent upwards of $200 million to make a rape revenge children's movie. Not only is it the most generic story imaginable, as in a woman gets scorned by a man and wreaks revenge on the world, but it actually robs Maleficent of her overall presence. Considering the way the love story in the first 5 minutes is presented and how it turns Maleficent to evil, it makes Maleficent come across as incredibly petty and pathetic, especially when compared to her cartoon counterpart, who didn't need a motivation to be as evil as she was. And stop right there, you about to go into the comment section and say some variation on "stop comparing the two characters, they're two completely different versions." Shut the hell up. This movie only exists because of that original cartoon character. This movie rips production and art assets from the original. This movie includes 3 colourful pixie characters for no other reason than the cartoon version did it, because those pixies are not in the original fairy tale, and they even include the Once Upon a Dream song from that cartoon. This movie wants you to compare it to the original. It is demanding comparison. Anyway, the structure of this movie is completely piss poor, with plot holes at every single turn. In fact, characters often contradict themselves within the same line of dialogue. There's no consistency, no care, no thought behind the story or any sort of character motivations. No one in this movie has any sort of rationale or motivation behind anything they do. No one acts or speaks from a place of logic. There's a crow character which becomes Maleficent's servant, but she conveniently transforms him into a human and other creatures based on the needs of the plot, including a dragon at the end. That's right, despite having dragon wings, Maleficent is not the one to transform into a dragon. It's this random crow character who has a strange crush on the Princess Aurora, played by Elle Fanning. It's almost as creepy as the Jacob Renesmee love story from Twilight, except instead of a wolf, it's a crow. And yeah, it's awkward and creepy as hell. Not as awkward and creepy as Twilight, but still pretty awkward and creepy. They even throw in Prince Charming into the mix. Yes, Prince Charming is also in this movie, but he only exists for the movie to make a joke about true love's first kiss, an approach that was done a million times better in Frozen last year. Even the true love plot resolution is ripped straight out of Frozen, but maybe that's just a coincidence. It's not like Maleficent and Frozen were made by the same company after all. Oh, yeah, moving on, with the exception of Maleficent's allegiance changing based on the needs of the plot, it's not organic at all, because God forbid a movie based on a villain actually has Maleficent acting villainous. There isn't anything even resembling a character arc in this movie. The true villain of the film is Sharlto Copley as the king, and Copley is a great actor. Honestly, he is a great actor. District 9, The A-Team, Elysium, he was great in those, but he is utterly miscast here, and his character, despite playing a key role in Maleficent's origin, is given no resolution or any sort of redemption. But why does there need to be a true villain in a movie about f***ing Maleficent? The script is terrible, the CGI is poor despite the huge budget. Seriously, the flying scenes are embarrassing to watch. The 3 pixie characters are grating and utterly insufferable. The editing, an absolute joke. And despite the director of this movie being an art director for Avatar, Alice in Wonderland and Oz the Great and Powerful, the production design here is utterly trite. There's not a single original bone in this movie's body. Everything is either ripped off or completely uninspired, which is exacerbated by the terrible CGI. The music even feels copied from other movies, particularly Harry Potter. Seriously, Warner Brothers, look into this. I think that they have blatantly stolen portions of your movie scores. Even the compositing for conversation scenes look dreadful. It genuinely does not look like Angelina Jolie even acted alongside anybody in this movie, because the green screen work and compositing are so bad. Key plot points are shoved aside and hand-waved through terribly awkward moments of narration. The movie never stops to have a legitimate character moment, and the action scenes, boring as hell. There are only 2 redeeming qualities to this movie. The first one is Angelina Jolie, when she's actually allowed to be villainous, which is only in one scene, and that is her crashing the party. The rest of the time she's meant to portray a tortured soul who is feeling conflicted by her villainous acts, which once again completely betrays the spirit of the original character, but in those scenes Jolie comes across as completely miscast. But those villainous moments, they are pretty good to watch. The second is Elle Fanning as Princess Aurora. Elle Fanning is a legitimately great young talent, and she has been for some time, and she does a lot to make Aurora, a character who only exists to be pretty, happy and beloved by all of those around her, actually come across as a genuine person. But she's still at the mercy of a dreadful, dreadful screenplay, which is filled with contrivances up the arse. In fact, screw the structure of a conventional review, I'm just going to name off some of the contrivances in this movie. Let's go. Maleficent is pissed off about losing her wings, but throughout the movie she uses her magical powers to levitate people. Can't she just levitate herself around, Magneto style? Sharlto Copley's character leaves Maleficent near the beginning to go join the local kingdom. It's established that he was corrupted by man's influence there, which turned him evil, but we're never actually told what corrupted him and why the kingdom was so appealing in the first place. When Maleficent turns evil, she uses her powers and rage to turn the magical world into a wasteland, but then later on in the movie when Aurora arrives, it's a beautiful landscape. Then at the end of the movie, Maleficent restores it, even though it already looked pretty restored earlier. Near the end, when Maleficent is in the castle, a guardsman notifies the king that she's inside, even though no one has seen her there, so how the hell does he know she's even there? Why does the king, at the beginning of the movie, want to declare war on the magical kingdom? He's literally given zero motivation. When Aurora wakes up from her sleep near the end, not a spoiler, it's Sleeping Beauty, you know what happens, why does no one notice or even ask how she woke up? I'm serious, I could go on for hours and hours. The film's problems span as far as the eye can see. I cannot wait for this movie to hit home media so I can truly properly rip this thing a new arsehole in a spoiler-free fashion, because it's fascinating how bad this thing is. Maleficent is bad. Really, really, really bad, and I only recommend you go see it if you want a crash course on how not to make movies, because you could legitimately write a thesis on the ineptitude on display here, and in terms of crushing the core conceit of the main character, it makes me wonder what Disney will do next if this film is a hit at the box office. Make a movie about Scar from The Lion King, but the reason he turns evil was because, I don't know, a lady lion took away his, I don't know, laser eye beam powers. But all joking aside, honestly, this movie makes me sad more than anything. Maleficent is such a magnificent character, and to see her butchered so terribly here by the company that created her, it makes me doubt why I even liked her to begin with. And you know an adaptation has done a terrible job when it makes you question why you even liked the source material. I give Maleficent half a star out of 5.
Bring me her head.
I call on those who live in the shadows. Fight with me now!
Is it true? Are you Maleficent?